Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to High Top Sports Oregon. We have our Duck insider, Derek the Duck Zelmer, with us today. Derek, we were just talking before the show. I don't know what's going on over there in Eugene. That you guys just a couple things have happened. You lose out on Pickett to LSU, and then you've got Lanning taking shots at Kirby. I think Kirby must have put out a hit list on Dan, because since those two things have happened, we've had a little bit of a weird scenario here. You lose out on Pickett, you got the tight end flipping to Tennessee. Was it time to panic, Derek? What's going on, man?
Well, the crazy part about this is, I would say the last couple of weeks have been an absolute roller coaster, right? I mean, we're coming off one of the biggest recruiting weeks in Oregon history when you're talking about landing like a surprise commitment from a 5-star corner in Dorian Brew. Obviously that late June cycle, that was phenomenal. But yeah, then like you said, Brian Kelly jumps in last minute, steals DJ Pickett away, must have flustered old Dan a little bit. Kirby throws his little, baby NIL shot. Dan says something back, and now all of a sudden, potentially whiffing left and right. People are getting up, they're heading out. So I mean, I've heard it all. We have a lot of Twitter insiders. Clearly, I'm hearing the NIL checks bounced. I'm hearing Dan can't coach. I'm hearing we're only Nike U and they want to play for real programs. Yeah. So like I said before the show, I think, at this point, maybe Dan's just writing these letters of recommendation out to these programs, writing old Matt Rule saying, hey, take Isaiah Mosey from us, reaching out to Tennessee and saying, hey, Brame looks like he's going to be a stud. Let's just ship him out. We got a lot going on here.
We had a good summer. We had a good couple of months, So look, I think some Duck fans. Look, guys, we're just joshing here. It's part of the game. Look, I think we alluded to this, right? With how much success you guys had early on, with how great the class, how much momentum it had. I would say Duck fans. I mean, look, I haven't been a Duck fan. I haven't been down this road. But from what I've watched from afar, typically the Ducks have made a late push later on, so they haven't really dealt with this back and forth in recruiting. From my perspective, as much. When you are leading the way, when you come out and you land 5-star to 5-star, you're going to raise some eyebrows and you're going to become the center of attention. You're also going to become the target. So we talked about that. This was expected. You weren't going to keep everybody. Again, Duck fans, we want to, right? We want that number one class, but this should be expected. But let's talk a little bit about 2026. These two guys are set to commit on the same day. Could have ourselves a big Saturday. This is the reason why we're here today, is to talk about what could happen Saturday. We'll probably have 2 live shows for those commits. First being 2026 quarterback Jonas Williams. His top 4 you see are Oregon, LSU, Alabama, Ohio State. It feels like the college football is just these 4 schools in Georgia. That's where I feel, in Texas every now. That literally every top player, these are the hats we see at the table. And LSU, man, out of all these programs, they're dropping some cheddar. Okay, because Brian Kelly and the Tigers really didn't look too ecstatic last year, in my opinion, but they seem to be on everybody's radar at the moment. But Jonas Williams, Chris Paul comes through from Wiltfong for you guys to get him this Saturday. How are you feeling about Jonas Williams?
Yeah, this is one where Oregon's picked up a ton of steam over the last couple weeks here, in particular since this last weekend at SNL. But yeah, I'm just going to follow the old Fong bomb here. I do think he ends up choosing to come to Oregon on Saturday. I know it was a bit of a surprise announcement for a commitment for Jonas, just because, he's a 26 guy and he is a highly touted guy, composite top 100 player, top 10 quarterback in the 26 cycle. But this is going to fit right into that category we've been talking about with guys like, Pickett and McNutt. And, when you get these guys, these top 100 players, if he commits on Saturday, it's not going to be over by any stretch. Clearly, early signing day in 2026 is a very, very long ways away. And we see, just what can happen. But securing that commitment early on is very big. The one I'm really excited about, honestly, he's not one that I knew a lot of until the last about month or two. But digging into the tape, he's someone who I'm really excited that could potentially help out this roster in future years. He's got a major arm, big cannon, and more of a dual threat quarterback than we're used to seeing in recent years. So that's something a little more exciting, some more of a Darren Thomas skill set in that regard, I would call it. but also very smart with the ball. Obviously, being a 26 guy, he's only played his freshman, sophomore years, but in those 2 years, he has 70 passing touchdowns and just a handful of interceptions. So, it just goes to show, even being a young, inexperienced guy, he's able to come in and be a difference maker. So, someone who I know the Ducks would love to be able to secure their commitment on Saturday and, would really set the precedent for another nice 26 class to follow this 25.
Here's why Duck fans should be excited for this. I know 2026 seems like a long way away, especially for recruiting, and it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat this in any way. Here's what I love about it. Two reasons. One, it's the quarterback. It's the leader of the class. To get them as soon as possible is absolutely huge. Florida got DJ Lagway in December during his recruiting cycle of this year. So if you guys were landing Jonas Williams in December, that would be the equivalent of to when Florida landed DJ. But that relationship started very early on. Florida has already landed their 2026 in Will Griffin a month ago. So it's very important, in my opinion, to get them very early on. Here's the other part where this is going to help the recruiting and just the momentum. You land him on Saturday alongside McNutt. All you see is Oregon recruiting very well on Saturday, right? That's what's going to help with momentum. So if there's guys that are kind of leaning one way or the other, you could find this to lead into the big mo is what I like to call, and allow some more guys to kind of lean that direction. So it's good energy. It's a good movement. Again, it seems far, far away, but big quarterback pickup, which helps lead that 2026 class. And a lot of schools right now are 2026, again, seems out far, but this recruiting landscape has shifted dramatically. 2025 mostly is all wrapped up. You've got like kind of a big sector that's already committed. We'll have the small batch that comes, during this season, but a lot of it's already done. They're already done with official visits. They're already done with a lot of things. Again, kids will be visiting during the school year, which we'll still see some flips, but a lot of the majority of the work for 2025, that's a wrap. It's already moving on to 2026. So this isn't early. Honestly, it's right on time and at a good pace for the Oregon Ducks. Let's talk about another big Saturday here. Trey McNutt was set to commit a few weeks ago, during like a week ago, maybe now. It feels like forever. Probably wasn't that long ago. That's when we had the massive outage. Everything goes array. I think it's because Billy from Florida dropped the bag, and we might have a little bit of upset come Saturday. That's what I'm hoping for. Anytime a recruit pushes their commit back, the school that's feeling good about it starts to panic a little bit. This one, I think there was good reason for cause, and I'm assuming the Ducks still feel pretty good about this 5-star guy committing on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I do feel pretty good sitting here, but this does come after, last week, which was a pretty eventful week for Trey McNutt. Obviously, he was able to visit Texas A&M on Thursday of last week, and then he was in Eugene from Friday to Sunday of last weekend to kind of, finish off that recruitment and, get any last minute questions taken care of, probably the whole NIL factor, that type of deal. Before he makes his decision this weekend. Just what I was reading from the On3 guys, it sounds like they're pretty confident he's going to end up with Oregon still, which, everybody should be able to breathe a little easier about. But this one has been a whirlwind of a commitment. I know, obviously, he was set to commit a couple weeks ago, and, we've been talking about him for quite some time just since he's been linked to Oregon. But I mean, even in the time we've been on the show discussing him, how many times have you heard us say, oh, we're going to get McNutt? And then it goes, ooh, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, we're back high on McNutt. He's back on campus. And then Fong comes out and he says, ooh, he might be leaning Texas A&M. And now we're back in the swing of things for the Ducks. So let's hope that we're able to close this one out like I think Dan is. I do think getting him on campus last weekend in particular was a big one with Oregon's Saturday Night Live event. It was a primary event for the 26 class, kind of like we were just talking to, trying to get in early on a lot of those guys. I know there were over 10 5-star players from the 26 class that were on campus last weekend, in addition to Trey McNutt, Decorian Moore from this class, as well as Michael Terry, who will be committing here in a couple weeks. But yeah, the Ducks should feel good about Trey McNutt. Obviously, nothing's set in stone until the deal's done, but I like where we're sitting as of this moment right now.
I feel like we should get a gold star, because the amount of times if I could have made a McNutt joke and we have it in the last 2 weeks, I'm going to give myself a pound. It's tough, okay? I'm trying to be an adult here, but my goodness, it's just like you tee it up for me when I'm supposed to knock it out of the park here. But I've withheld. It is so, oh my goodness, you're a child, Sheldon. But here we are. Let's look, good stuff there. It could get the Oregon recruiting back on the trail, because it's just in a complete abysmal train here the last couple of weeks for Lanny. So this will settle the dust, get Ducks back in line again. hopefully keep you guys back to a top 5 class, because right now I don't know if you're gonna be in the top 50 at this rate. Let's talk about Maxwell award to watch list. Gabriel and Johnson both being tallied for that award. Again, this is awarded to the best football player in college. Like, well, how's it different from Heisman? I don't know. They're both to the to the best football player, but this I think is a little more open to everybody. And you got two guys on your team that are open to that watch list. I mean, how do you feel? What do you think these guys align on winning? Graham Mertz, by the way, is on the list as well too, in case any Duck fans are worried about how the Gators are doing. But again, I think they pick one or two from each school. Typically, is how it plays out of who they think. But Oregon pulling out two of them.
Yeah, I mean, first off, like to preface that I am a massive proponent of the Heismertz train. So, I got no hate there. Love Graham. If DG doesn't get it, love to see Graham grab it. But, obviously you got to feel pretty good about being able to have two people on this award watch list. I know it's easy to kind of overlook these type of things just because, there are so many people who get on these preseason watch lists. But even to be mentioned in these categories, it tells you that the voters and these college football experts, that they understand what these guys have. Yeah, exactly. Have the potential to be able to do this season. And especially together, obviously if Tez has a major season, Dylan Gabriel is going to have a major season. It just how it kind of goes and vice versa. In terms of how I think they can, how this could play out, I don't know. I think Tez has a tough time to would have a tough time getting it just because of the weapons around him. The Evan Stewarts, the Trayshawn Holdens, the Jurion Dickies around him. There's a lot of mouths to feed in that wide
Sure.
receiver room. So I don't know about that. But I will say, to that point, it also bodes extremely well for Dylan Gabriel to have a legitimate core of 6 receivers that are going to see some playing time, 3 tight ends, and every backfield on your roster who's able to, come out the backfield and catch the ball. So I really like where Dylan Gabriel sits in there, and which is probably another reason he's a, preseason Heisman favorite.
If those guys are being watched towards the end, that's going to be absolutely huge for the Ducks, and you guys are going to be on an absolute train. Look, I'm excited for the season I keep talking about. Of course, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subs, Duck fans. I know you guys are a huge fan base. Show some love, help us get there. We've got multiple channels. We've got our high top channel, our main channel, which is heavily Florida. We've got a recruiting. So I'm excited because I feel like one of our channels is going to be going far this late this year, and it's gonna be sweet to see Florida in that playoff. But look, it's gonna be a long season and for good reason. So we're excited to see how this thing's gonna go. I mean, look, we've made it through the off season. I know that you guys pads were put on today. You told me that media wasn't allowed in just yet. I know schools slowly kind of trickle those things in and what they're allowed to be in. So look, our shows are going to be ramping up this month. August really sets the tone for us to really get things going. So get the bell turned on. Make sure you guys are ready to rock and roll. Of course, during the games on Saturday, we'll do our best, and Derek will do his best to do reports and definitely doing call-in shows after the game. So we're very immersive. We try to have as much fun with the fans as we possibly can. We've done a few live shows that seem to go over very well. Those will amp up and tick up as the season goes on. So we hope to see you guys much more. So smash the like button, subscribe. Let us know in the comments your thoughts, your opinions on this season. Maybe something you guys we would like to hear us talk about. But until then, I'm Sheldon. That's Derek the Duck Zelmer. Give him a follow at High Top Sports Oregon. We'll see you boys next time. Peace and love, baby.